Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this month's Forge Dev Den. My name's Mel, and I'm a developer advocate from Atlassian, and I'll be your moderator for today. So just a quick recap. If you attended last month's Dev Den, we talked about building rover agents using Forge. And if you missed it, don't worry. The recording is available on our Atlassian developer YouTube channel. So I'll paste the link into the chat, or you can just Google Atlassian developer YouTube and it should come up. You'll also find recordings from previous dev dans, as well as tons of other content like introductory videos, recordings from previous events, and much more at the YouTube. So if you haven't checked it out, would totally recommend it. I'd like to also welcome everyone from the Forge UI team who's here today. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Now, before I hand over, and also on the topic of YouTube, we're trying something new today. So we're actually, on top of recording this session, we'll be live streaming the session on YouTube as well as in the Zoom meeting. So welcome to anyone who's joining us from YouTube. Now, before I hand over the virtual microphone to Jemma, let's just go through some house rules. So first, unless you're asking or answering questions, please keep your microphones on mute. Second, if you have questions, please type them in the chat or ask them live during the Q&A sessions, which will be at the end of each of the two talks. And if you're joining us from YouTube, we'll be monitoring questions over there as well. The session today is 1 hour long, so in the event that we aren't able to answer everyone's questions, you can raise them over on the developer community forums, which I will paste in the chat as well. And lastly, I'd like to remind everyone that this session is being recorded, and we'll be sharing it to the YouTube channel about a week after the event. So if you want to review something that you saw today, or you want to share it with a colleague who couldn't make it this evening, you'll be able to find it there sometime next week. And so are we recording now? Ian, are you able to confirm?
I'm gonna hit the record button now.
Okay,
There you
good. So
go.
we're recording. Okay, so with the introduction and house rules done, I'll hand you over to Jemma to kick off today's session.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So as you may have already read and known when you signed up, today we're focusing on Forge UI, and I'm excited to join you as the product manager of the Forge UI team, joined by some of the software engineers on our team who are going to talk about our two latest EAPs, which we're really excited about. And this is an opportunity for you to find out more about them, ask any questions you might have, and also we would love for you to sign up and also give it a go. Particularly, for example, for the Frame EAP, which UA will be talking about first. We're soon going to be doing SEQ testing. What that means is we're basically going to interview and ask questions to people to see how they find the experience and what the usability is like. So it's a great opportunity for you to sign up and potentially be involved in that in the next few weeks. If you're not sure what an EAP is, feel free to read about it in our documentation, but it's basically a chance for you to try out things and to help us out with testing something before we are kind of moving it further along to preview and to GA, when then in those stages you can use it in production. So in EAP, you can't use it in production for your apps, but it gives you an opportunity to test it out and give us feedback and things like that, which is super helpful. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to UA to kick us off and talk about our Frame EAP. Thanks, UA.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can all see my screen. There we go. Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm UA. I'm a software engineer on the Forge UI team. I present to you today our new component called Frame. So if you're familiar with custom UI, you can think of Frame as a way that combines custom UI and UI kit in a single app. For those who aren't familiar, we have two main UI offerings for building a Forge app, either by using UI kit components which is a set of components from the Forge React package, or using custom UI, which means you can define the UI using any static resource. Before, there was no way to combine the two. You had to either stick with one or the other. But now with Frame, you're able to combine the two in a single app. So the main purpose of Frame is for an app to be 90% UI kit, and then any functionality or customization that's missing can be added with the Frame component. So let me show you an example app for Frame that we have. Cool. Just double checking, can you see this tutorial, the stock screen that I've got up? Sweet. So these are our Frame docs, which is a handy page for anyone trying to learn about Frame. And the tutorial documentation, the tutorial can be found in the tutorial section. And we've created a logo designer app using the Frame component. So if you click it through here, let me show you this on my Confluence site. So I've installed this app on a global page extension point. And when we inspect the app, you can see that this UIKit app consists of a Frame component. So this is the UIKit app. And then within the UIKit app, we have an iframe, which contains our Frame component, and you can define whatever UI you'd like in this part. So how this app works is basically you can select any icon that you want to design, change the radius, and then in the Frame part, it'll modify the icon. I want to quickly show you the code for this example app. And it's for anyone who's not too familiar, this is what a UIKit app normally looks like. We have the front end file in the main source folder. Here you can see that I've got a separate folder up here called resources, and we suggest you lay out your app in a similar manner so that you can clearly separate the custom UI static resource with the UIKit app. So in our main UIKit app, we have this logo design control panel component that we've made. And you can see that we've imported Frame from the Forge React package. And we pass a resource key into the resource prop. And this way, this key here links to the key in the manifest, which specifies the path to our static UI resource build. So don't worry if you're not following along with all of this. Feel free to look through the tutorial and work through step by step if you have any questions. So to bring you guys back to the main complexity of Frame. So the main complexity of Frame is the communication between the Frame component and the UIKit app. For example, if I selected a pair icon and give it a radius, this new configuration needs to be passed to the Frame component. We've made two ways for Frame to communicate. You can either use our Events API from the Forge Bridge package, or use our new Frame Props helper in order to pass props in a standard React-like manner. So firstly, we recommend using the Events API when the communication between the Frame component and the app is simple. The two features of using the Events API is that it's one, bidirectional, meaning that the events can be sent from both the UIKit and Frame side, and then both sides can subscribe to the event. The second feature is that once a single event is sent, it can be received by multiple targets in the app using the on function. And let me show you this in code very briefly. So over here in code, we've got on the UIKit side, we have our icon selector, which you've seen in the example app. And when we change it, we call handle config change. And when config changes, we've created a custom hook called use logo config update. And you can see here that we use the Events Bridge API to emit this event. And then furthermore, on the custom UI side, we can go into the main app in here, and we can see that it also listens for the config updates that are passed from the UIKit app. So in here, it can subscribe to the event that we send and then update its own config. So this is the first way of how we've set up communication with Frame. The second way we've done it is through a frame props helper, which to React developers may seem a bit more familiar. This way, we pass down properties to Frame. So the example app also has this version, and you can access it on this feature branch, which I will show here. So if you clone the tutorial app repo, you can access the version with the frame props helper on this branch here. Update example app with the frame props helper. And in here, you can see that instead of importing frame, you import create frame from the Forge React package. Create frame also takes in the same resource key string, but now you're able to pass down your own props. So on here, we've created the logo display frame with create frame. And now we were able to pass down the radius and icon in a way that you don't need to use event listeners with. So on the custom UI side, we're able to see that it's able to take in the config and the context, and we're able to apply the changes through props instead. So lastly, I want to go over a bit about some of the limitations currently for Frame in EAP. So firstly, no frames in prod. Secondly, currently we're doing one frame per module per app. It's also good to note that the frame root container does not support view-based relative sizing. And finally, that frame can be used safely in these 6 extension points listed. We're exploring a larger set of extension points for preview, so do let us know on CDAC or feedback forms if you vouch for an extension point. That was a very quick overview of Frame, and very happy to take questions now, if there are any.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the frame component or the EAP in general? No? Okay. Is anyone Katerina, are there any questions over on the YouTube? No? Okay. No worries.
We can pass on over then to Emily and Han, who are going to take us through the visualizations EAP. If someone has questions for Frame later, don't worry, you can also ask at the end. I'll pass over to Han.
Thank you. I'm here with Emily, and I'm just going to start sharing screen now. Okay. Can everyone see this one okay? Yep. All right. So I will pass off to Emily to kick us off.
Yeah, so as a part of the visualizations EAP, we introduced 7 new components. So these are pretty much like charts components that you may all be pretty familiar with the concept of. So 4 different bar chart components. Our regular bar chart is pretty simple. It's just bars of varying heights to compare categories of values. We also have the stack bar chart, which is similar to this, except it's more to compare to demonstrate comparisons between the different categories of data. With both of these types, they can be varied by making it horizontal instead. So this means instead of vertical bars, we instead have the horizontal bars. And the main purpose for this is if you have categories or items with larger labels, it makes it a bit easier and better visually. We also introduced, the line chart, which kind of represents data in a trend and usually will be used for temporal data or over time. We also have introduced the pie chart, which is a representation of data proportions in a circular format. And lastly, the single value chart, which is information with a single value as its metric, with the option of also showing a percentage increase or decrease. I'll now pass it over to Han to kind of demonstrate these different components in a Jira environment, as well as show one of these charts being created from scratch.
Okay, thank you, Emily. So what I'm going to show you guys now is this. This is my Jira instance, and I've loaded up the example app here so that we can see all of the charts as it would appear. So the first one we're going to go through is the single value chart, like Emily spoke about. And I'll just split screen it so that we can see the code. So as we can see, we can import all of the different types of charts from Forge React. And we're going to have a look at single value. So we can see that the way it's implemented is we have the component here, and we have different props that we can give it. For example, title, data, and whether the border is shown. So we can see that for the data, the first number is going to be the value that is displayed, and the second number in the array is going to be used to calculate the percentage increase or decrease relative to the first number. So in this case, it's 25% decrease. So that's single value chart. If we move on to line chart here, then we can see that is implemented in a slightly different way. So again, we have the component line chart, and it takes in also title, subtitle, show border. And we can also see that for this one, I actually, let's command click into it. We can see that the data contains the x-accessor, y-accessor, color-accessor, and also the data itself. So if we have a look at the data itself, it's in the format of an array of objects. And that's, as you can see here, each object has 3 different keys. So that's the date, the value, and the status. And that is important because this will tell the x-accessor, y-accessor, and color-accessor which ones to access and display. So if we go back to here, we can see that the x-accessor is the date. So that's what will be displayed in the x-axis. And then the value will be displayed in the y-axis, and the category will be determined by the status. So if we look over here, I'll just show you guys both side by side. Each of the months are displayed in the x-axis, the values on the y, and to determine which color or category each data point is in, it refers to whether it's in the status new issues or resolved issues. So that's line chart, but I want to show you guys a different kind of data that can also be used with these charts. And we're going to do that with, I believe, stack bar chart. Okay, in this case, we can see the same props, title, subtitle, and border, but we can see here that the X, Y, and color accessors are numbers, and that's because another way that the data can be taken is an array of arrays. And the difference here is instead of keys, we are going to refer to the position in the array as what the accessors would be. So in this case, 0 would be what is shown in the x-axis, as you can see here. And the y-axis is at index position number 1. And finally, the color accessor will have a look at what's at index position 2. And if we have a look at the documentation for these charts, which you can also find on DAC, it's specified here that it can be those 2 different data formats. Okay, and last but not least, we have the pie chart, which if we have a look back in our code, it is also implemented in the same way, except this time we've opted to go for an array of objects, and hence why the X, Y, and color accessor are strings. So that is a brief summary of all of our charts in action. What we'll do now is we'll actually create one from scratch. So I've set up this little container here that we can put we'll put our bar chart in. So first things first, we are going to put in that component here. And we're going to have a look at the DAC to see what we can do next. So looking at the props that we need to have the data, the X, Y, and X and Y accessor, just those three things to make a very basic graph. So we are going to start with data, and I'll just put out the X accessor. Okay, and I've prepared some data here, which I'm going for an array of objects in this case, and I've already imported it into the file. So I'm just going to place that in data. And for X accessor, it will be called X-axis, and I'm going to make sure to put that in a string. And for Y accessor, it will be the value. Okay, cool. And then I've just saved that, so let's see if it loads. Here we go. So we can see on the right-hand side of my screen, we have a very, very basic graph. But as you can see, it looks pretty ugly. It doesn't have title, subtitle, or color yet. And to do that, we'll need to add that in the props. So I'm just going to give it a very random title and subtitle. I believe we can also do show border as well, so I will add that as well. We're going to have show border to be true. Cool. And then finally, the color accessor. And in this case, it will be status. And that can be either unresolved, resolved, or rejected. And that will separate it out into the right category. I forgot the quotes. Okay, so now we will save that. Wait for it to load. Okay, so now we can see that our bar chart has all the right information in it and can be customized as we wish. Okay, so with that being said, I will hand it back over to Emily to talk about the different stats that we have with our charts.
Yeah, so currently all of these chart components are being supported in Jira and Confluence for development. So as of fresh data from our analytics channels, over the last 30 days, we've had 31 apps in development using the different types of bar charts, 13 apps using line chart, 13 apps using pie chart, and 10 using single value chart. And we hope to see these grow. And I might pass it over to Jemma to, I guess, talk more or conclude this. Yeah, also happy to answer any questions before that if anyone has any.
Yep. So I just wanted to reiterate the call to action, and I'm going to send it into chat, that we would love for you, if you haven't already, to sign up to our frame and visualizations EAP. I'm going to send into chat now the sign up forms, as well as also where you can go to read more about the different components. And if anyone has any questions, then feel free to put them into chat now, and we are more than happy to answer them. I'll just pause for a moment to see if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about another exciting opportunity after that. Mel, do we have some questions?
Yeah, we have some questions I can read out from chat.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah, okay. So Sebastian asks, is there any ETA for frames on Compass?
Yep. So like you alluded to, for our preview, we're hoping to be able to support Compass. Yue, I don't know if we've done any work in that yet. Do you know?
I will say that Compass is definitely on the list for preview, definitely in the admin page and global pages. We're looking to test more in the team page as well. So yeah, stay tuned.
Awesome. And Sebastian, if you have specific areas, just like what Yue mentioned, then if there's specific areas of Compass you're interested in, let us know so we can make those a priority. As we're always interested to hear what people think they would use the most. Awesome. Any other questions, Mel?
Yeah, so this one is a question about visualizations from Justin. And Justin asks, do you have a general direction for visualizations in terms of what you're considering next?
Yep, I can take this one too. So at the moment, we just tried to put out the most basic charts that we thought people would like to use. In preview, we hope to see if we can add more charts, or at least they'll definitely be coming, and I know they're in the works at the moment. So next stage, we'll be able to take this to preview, as I know a lot of people are interested in being able to use this in their apps in production. We're actually also partnering in our development of visualizations with an internal team that is bringing these charts across Atlassian. So you will begin to see these more throughout Atlassian, and they will match kind of that look and feel as well, so that your apps integrate really nicely in that sort of way. If you have any specific questions or ideas of where you want the direction to go, then feel free to send a message into the private CDAC groups we have. If you sign up for the Visualizations EAP, or send us a message on CDAC or something like that. I know something that's been highly requested is having on click, or being able to have some sort of way to see some of the data in that way. And I know that's currently something that we're hoping to add to preview. I don't know if Han or Emily want to speak any more to that.
I think you covered it pretty well.
Awesome. But yeah, Justin, if you have any more questions about that, feel free to send them through as well. We're more than happy to answer.
Okay. The next question is from Joe, and Joe asks, Joe says the donut chart is clearly superior to the pie chart, as donuts are more delicious than pie. I don't know if I agree with that, Joe. Any plans to introduce a donut style visualization of pie chart data?
Well, Joe, there actually is an option to make your pie chart donut. So it's a prop called isDonut, and you can just set it to true or false to do that. So if you have a look at the DAC documentation, it should be there.
Awesome.
Nice.
If you get stuck, Joe, let us know. I'm excited for you to enjoy making donuts. I think pies are better though, so controversial opinion.
Okay. Marina asks, is Frame the alternative for the general module that we have in Connect?
Yue, do you know? I don't know as much about Connect, so I'll see if Yue knows. We can definitely look that up for you.
I also am not too familiar with that module. This is Marina here.
Yes, I am.
Hello.
So the general module allows you to basically take control of the Jira site or the Confluence site from almost at a root level. So you can control, we particularly have an app that doesn't allow access to the site until an action has occurred. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to convert the app to Forge because we're missing that component in cloud. So yeah, I was hoping that Frame would be the entry point to solve that in Jira specifically. We can do it in Confluence. There's a few more modules available in Confluence, but unfortunately we can't do it in the Jira at the moment.
Right, that makes sense. I can give a quick answer that Frame will not let you take control of the site. Probably not in the same way that a general module does.
Okay.
But if you post this on CDAC, I can get back to you with more details.
No sweat.
Yeah, or if
Thank
you like,
you.
I've just sent my email in chat as well. I'd be more than happy to chat more about that and see if we can figure out a solution that works for you.
That would be super. Thank you.
No worries.
We've got another question. This one's from I think it's Sashin, I'm guessing. And they ask, can we add filters on chart based on that we can generate chart runtime? So I'm guessing they mean, maybe Sashin, if you're on the call, if you can clarify a little bit, do you mean you want to add filters that can be used in runtime?
Yeah, so in the chart, can we have a kind of controllers, right? based on so currently we can see the hard-coded values. So instead of that, I wanted to have a controller where I can see the projects or issue types, and whatever the selection, based on that selections, the chart will get generated.
I guess so from my understanding is the question kind of about how you can put in your own data or have control of which data is going into the
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the examples we had in our demo were just hard-coded to make it a bit easier, but I believe you can just kind of like input the data from wherever you're getting it from, as long as it's made to fit the type or the structure that we have specified. So that would be an array of objects or array of arrays. In terms of the object one, the keys don't have to be what we had in the demo. You can have it as whatever you want.
So
Does that
basically, yeah. So basically, let's say if I am displaying the 5 project data, right? And at the time I wanted to get the report based on the specific project. Let's say I have 5 projects. I wanted to select the specific project, let's say ABC, and I want to generate that report based on the ABC. Then later on, let's say another project.
Yeah, so you should be able to have your data changing based on what you put in, as long as it's inside the correct format.
Is that model available in the existing the APIs what we have, or
Sorry, can you repeat that, the module?
so that filter options APIs is already there in the document, or it's still in process?
We don't have a filter option, but we just, in our documentation, we just have what the, I guess, format of what kind of data types are available, or like
So it's,
be compatible with the charts components.
okay, so based on the data, so which we are passing to the chart, it's displaying. But on UI level, we don't have control where we can select a specific data. Which we
We
need to.
currently don't have that. No.
Okay, okay.
And if that's something that you think is really important, then feel free to put that in. If you sign up, you should be added to our private CDAC group where we're getting feedback. So feel free to add that in there, because that's where we look to kind of see how we can change things and add things for preview that developers want. Awesome. Any other questions?
It doesn't look like we have any questions over on YouTube, and there are no more questions in the chat. So now is your chance, anyone. If you've got a question, you can stick your hand up or type it in the chat.
And while we're waiting for that, there's one more thing that my designer has asked me to show you all. So I'm just going to share my screen and run through something. Give me 1 second. Cool. Can you see this page? Wait, I think wait, I'm just gonna do it again. There we go. So at the moment, we're currently, another project that's going on the side is we're trying to improve our developer documentation. We want the structure to be easier for people to be able to locate and find things. And we're looking currently for feedback from new or experienced developers, regardless of whether you have or have not built cloud apps on Atlassian before. So I think all of you should be able to meet that criteria. And today, we are offering the opportunity to basically take part in this study. It will only take 15 minutes. We have 2 different links, and the first 15 people to do each of the links, so total 30 people, will receive a $30 gift voucher on completion of the study. What it will require you to do is, once you click on the link, you'll get a page like this where it will explain the study and you're invited to sign up. And then once you've submitted your details and put in your email, then within the next couple of hours or potentially tomorrow, you'll get an email where you'll then have a link to be able to participate. And on completion of the study, then you'll receive a gift voucher. And this is really helpful for us to be able to try to improve our documentation as much as we can. So I'm going to send these links. It's important to note, don't do both of them, just choose one of them. And the way we split this up is depending on what your name starts with, so that hopefully we get the most equal split possible. And if you have time and you'd like to participate in this, then it would be best to do this either today or tomorrow to sign up, because as I said, it will be the first 15 people of each link that we need. But yeah, I hope you can take part in that opportunity too. And if you have any questions about that as well, let me know.
Thanks so much, Gemma. It looks like we've just got one more question, which is, can we have a link for the sample code? So if you check in the chat now, you'll see the links for the sample code for everything that we went through today. Yeah, so I guess that's all the questions that we've got, Gemma.
Awesome.
So awesome. So thank you again to Gemma and our speakers, Yue, Emily, and Han, as well as our moderators, Katarina and Ian. And thank you so much for everyone who attended and for everyone who asked a question. Yeah, you'll find all the links in the chat history. And like I said earlier, the video will be up on YouTube sometime next week. And yeah, if you're new to Forge development, be sure to head on over to developer.atlassian.com, where you'll find resources for getting started. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there is a question from Hans, and the question, it just came in.
Oh, is that for Hans, are you asking about where to find the links for the feedback?
Feedback specific to the EAPs can be done once you sign up to the EAP. You'll be added to a private CDAC group, and you can post any questions or comments in there, and any feedback. For general feedback, you can use our CDAC, which is our community platform, where we're very open to any issues you encounter. We're always happy to answer. I'll quickly grab the link for that.
It looks like Hans already put the link
Oh, amazing.
Chat now. So if you want to sign up for either of the EAPs, the links are there as well.
And that's our link for just our general community platform where we chat together.
Awesome. Okay,
The error, I think you just have to wait a little while because it's just verifying you're human. So I think if you just wait on that page for a few seconds, it should then take you through to the next screen. But if you get any issues, then feel free to send a message. There's actually a message about this opportunity on CDAC itself from the designer who's working on it. This is the post. So if you want, and if you get any errors with it, you can reply there as well, and she might be able to help further.
Awesome. And that link's in the chat now. So
Awesome.
okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great evening or morning or afternoon.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
Did it. Thank you.
We